Controversial bishop has come under fire for his behavior behind and in front of the pulpit. Whitehead is a Brooklyn native, and he's known as the Bling Bishop because of his flashy clothes and that jewelry that you see on TV.
A grandmother emptied her entire retirement savings into the hands of a man she trusted with her soul. And he spent every cent on designer suits and luxury shopping without losing a single night of sleep.
In December 2022, Whitehead was indicted on 2 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of extortion, and 1 count of making material false statements. Feds accused him of falsifying bank records to finance his New Jersey mansion.
Across America, behind stained glass windows and roaring congregations, pastors have weaponized faith into a multi-billion-dollar machine built on stolen trust, shattered families, and taxpayer-funded silence. These are the 20 most corrupted pastors in America, and their stories will change how you see every pulpit forever. Number 20. Bishop Lamor Whitehead. Let's start with Bishop Lamor Whitehead, a man the federal government called a career con man who has been committing frauds for over 20 years. Before Whitehead ever stepped behind a pulpit in Brooklyn, he had already served 6 years in state prison for identity theft and grand larceny, a detail his congregation at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries never knew when they handed him their trust and their money. He built credibility through a close friendship with New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who publicly called Whitehead a mentor, brother, and friend, and that political connection gave him the shield he needed to operate freely. In July of 2022, 3 masked gunmen stormed his church during a live-streamed sermon and stripped him and his wife of over $1 million in jewelry at gunpoint, and the footage went viral worldwide. Most people felt sympathy, but the FBI investigation that followed uncovered the real crime hiding underneath the diamonds. Whitehead had convinced an elderly single mother in his congregation to hand over $90,000 from her retirement savings, promising to help her buy a home, and he spent every dollar on luxury goods without purchasing anything for her. He also attempted to extort a businessman for $5,000, tried to leverage fake mayoral favors for a $500,000 loan, and submitted fraudulent business loan applications using doctored bank statements. After a 2-week trial in March of 2024, a jury convicted him on 5 federal counts, and the U.S. attorney stated publicly that Whitehead lied to federal agents and then lied again to the court during his own trial. The morning after conviction, Whitehead recorded an Instagram video from his Rolls-Royce insisting he was innocent. In June of 2024, a federal judge sentenced him to 9 years in prison. That alone should make you uncomfortable. But what if the pastor staring into your television screen right now is running the exact same playbook? Number 19. George Bloomer. He is a founder of Bethel Family Worship Center, who turned Christian television into his personal ATM. Bloomer built his career on dramatic spiritual warfare sermons, claiming he could break generational curses off people's finances, and he used that persona to launch high-pressure televised fundraising drives targeting vulnerable viewers at home. During one broadcast, he demanded 30 people release an uncommon seed of $300 each. Former staff revealed the operation ran on strict internal quotas, with weekly extraction targets, turning prayer meetings into a corporate revenue machine. While elderly viewers emptied their savings believing a miracle was coming, Bloomer channeled untaxed television money into private jets, 5-star hotels, and designer wardrobes, all hidden behind the church's tax-exempt status. Number 18. Archbishop E. Bernard. Archbishop E. Bernard Jordan of Zoe Ministries is the man who literally sold prophecy through the mail. Jordan built a multi-million-dollar direct mail empire, promising followers personalized written prophecies from God, detailing their future wealth and romantic success, all for a mandatory cash seed of $29 or more. Consumer protection groups investigated and exposed that these prophecies were mass-printed by machines and mailed to thousands simultaneously, using generic language designed to feel personal. The scheme pulled in millions from financially desperate people, funding Jordan's gated mansion and luxury sports cars. The prophets selling prayer and prophecy for profit were only the opening act, because the next group of pastors built entire financial empires designed to drain every dollar from their followers, and one of them asked 200,000 people to buy him a $65 million private jet. Number 17. Reverend Frederick J. Eicherenqueter. He is known worldwide as Reverend Ike, the godfather of prosperity preaching. In the 1970s, Reverend Ike flipped traditional scripture by rejecting humble poverty, famously declaring that the lack of money is the root of all evil. He collected millions through his Blessing Plan donation program, targeting low-income black communities, owned 16 Rolls-Royces, wore blinding diamond rings, and maintained mansions on both coasts. When critics confronted him about exploiting poor followers, he dismissed them by claiming his wealth was merely a divine visual aid. Every prosperity preacher who followed copied his playbook. Number 16. Creflo Dollar. He is the founder of World Changers Church International, and this is where the prosperity gospel became genuinely absurd. Dollar taught his congregation that poverty stems from weak faith and material wealth proves God's favor, pulling millions through mandatory tithing, while accumulating luxury estates and 2 identical custom Rolls-Royces. In 2015, he launched a campaign asking 200,000 followers to donate $300 each for a $65 million Gulfstream G650 private jet. The page was pulled after massive backlash, but Dollar responded from the pulpit, calling critics enemies of the devil and declaring nobody could stop him from dreaming. Kirk Franklin condemned him publicly, saying that camouflaging your greeds to look like needs is a shortage of character. Dollar's ministry received a failing grade for financial transparency from Christian watchdog organizations, and reports indicated the ministry quietly purchased the jet anyway. Years later, Dollar recanted his own prosperity teachings in a sermon called The Great Misunderstanding, admitting his tithing teachings were not correct, a confession that came decades too late for the families who had already emptied their wallets. Number 15. Leroy Thompson, founder of Word of Life Christian Center, and he pioneered the Money Cometh movement. Thompson hosted televised revivals where he literally commanded money to fly into his hands while strutting in alligator shoes as followers threw cash at his feet until the floor was covered. He walked over the scattered bills, ordering staff to scoop them into boxes, then told his congregation that withholding rent money blocked their breakthrough. While followers sank into debt, Thompson funded a guarded compound, luxury mansions, and a custom Rolls-Royce. The prosperity preachers promised wealth in exchange for faith, but the pastors coming next exploited political power and moral authority to build personal empires while their communities received nothing in return. Number 14. Bishop Noel Jones. This man is the leader of the City of Refuge Church in Los Angeles, whose lifestyle was broadcast on the reality series Preachers of LA. The show exposed Jones touring mansions, driving a Porsche and Ferrari, and debating whether the vehicles matched his elite status, all while his church sat in the middle of economically depressed neighborhoods. Jones defended his cliffside estate on camera, claiming financial success proved God's favor, and he charged up to $20,000 per speaking appearance. Number 13. Reverend Al Sharpton. He is the founder of the National Action Network, who presents himself as a civil rights warrior, while federal investigators have tracked decades of financial misconduct. The New York Times reported in 2014 that Sharpton had accumulated over $4.5 million in tax liens, with personal federal debts exceeding $3 million. His National Action Network owed over $800,000 in unpaid payroll taxes, money collected from employees but never submitted to the IRS. Investigators found Sharpton used his tax-exempt organization to fund first-class travel, luxury hotels, and clothing allowances while failing to pay his own taxes. Major corporations paid massive consulting fees to avoid public controversies, turning activism into a personal brand. Despite decades of government inquiries, Sharpton has avoided criminal conviction, claiming he remains current on repayment plans. Number 12. Pastor Darrell Scott. As co-founder of New Spirit Revival Center in Cleveland, Pastor Darrell Scott transformed political access into personal gain. Scott sat in Oval Office meetings and appeared on cable news while claiming to bring resources to inner-city communities. But his church faced unpaid rent lawsuits. Insiders exposed political connections, leveraged for personal deals and book contracts, and the ministry drew scrutiny over abusing its tax-exempt status, while community programs went abandoned. Political pastors built personal brands off influence, but the next chapter cuts much deeper, because these pastors destroyed the sacred bond between a shepherd and the most vulnerable people who trusted them completely. Number 11. Juanita Bynum. Rising to fame in the late 1990s with the legendary No More Sheets sermon, Juanita Bynum became one of America's most recognizable televangelists. As celebrity grew, Bynum launched her Special Prayer Institute, charging $1,500 per person to learn how to pray. A spiritual practice Scripture teaches is free. She defended the pricing while demanding premium rates for anointed oils, VIP revival seating, and counseling sessions, turning every spiritual practice into a product with a checkout page. Number 10. John Gray. Founder of Relentless Church in Greenville, South Carolina, John Gray built one of the country's most talked-about ministries. Gray built a massive following through emotional preaching and a reality show on the Oprah Winfrey Network. But the unraveling began when video surfaced of him gifting his wife a $200,000 Lamborghini Urus. He posted a weeping 23-minute Facebook Live insisting a husband bought the car, not a pastor. Then, investigations revealed Relentless Church had purchased a $1.8 million mansion for his family as a pastoral parsonage, with leaders stating the home attracted a leader of his caliber. The church was simultaneously failing to pay rent, facing eviction from its landlord. His former CFO sued for $75,000 in unpaid wages. Gray publicly confessed to an emotional affair, and a Houston woman later claimed she had sent him intimate photos while he gave her money. Gray eventually stepped away from the pulpit entirely, seeking intensive counseling. Number 9. Bishop Eddie Long. Few stories in modern ministry are as difficult to tell as that of Bishop Eddie Long. Long built New Birth Missionary Baptist Church into a 25,000-member empire, ruling from a golden throne while driving a Bentley funded by tax-exempt donations. In 2010, 4 young men from his youth program, Anthony Flagg, Maurice Robinson, Jamal Paris, and Spencer LeGrand, filed lawsuits alleging Long used spiritual authority, gifts, and cash to groom them into coercive relationships when they were 17 and 18. Long initially vowed to fight, but settled all 4 lawsuits in May of 2011 under sealed confidentiality. The case drew national attention because Long had spent years crusading against homosexuality, leading a 2004 march with Bernice King to her father's gravesite, supporting a constitutional marriage ban. Parishioners also sued after Long endorsed an investment scheme that the SEC later charged with defrauding over 1,000 church member investors, and an internal memo showed the church had been warned beforehand. Long died in January of 2017, leaving a congregation without answers he would never provide. These pastors shattered lives while preaching morality. But the next chapter exposes pastors who took exploitation across international borders, and one was running a child trafficking ring disguised as a ministry of miracles. Number 8. Gino Jennings. He is the leader of the First Church of our Lord Jesus Christ, and what makes him dangerous is that he does not look like the others on this list. Jennings built a following by presenting himself as a raw preacher fighting church corruption. But insiders reveal a financial dictatorship with absolute control over every penny, no independent audits, and no outside oversight. Former members exposed that while Jennings commands followers to live in humble poverty, he has quietly built a private empire through church-owned properties. silencing anyone who asks financial questions with intense psychological pressure. Number 7. Chris Oyakhilome. Leading Christ Embassy, Chris Oyakhilome built one of the world's largest televangelist ministries, reaching millions through a vast global television network. His teachings on faith, prosperity, and giving attracted an enormous international following, while also drawing sustained criticism from some former members and watchdogs. The UK Charity Commission investigated aspects of Christ Embassy's UK operations, examining governance and the handling of charitable funds. His highly publicized divorce from his former wife, Anita Oyakhilome, intensified public scrutiny of his ministry, finances, and personal lifestyle, as questions about wealth, transparency, and accountability grew. Supporters defended his leadership, while critics argued the controversy exposed a very different side of the empire he had spent decades building. Number 6. Gilbert Deya. Deya is a former Kenyan stonemason who moved to London in the 1990s, built a ministry across British cities, and introduced miracle babies, claiming his prayers allowed infertile women to conceive within 4 months. Women were sent to backstreet clinics in Nairobi, emerging with infants presented as their own. A BBC investigation in 2004 destroyed the illusion when DNA tests showed zero biological connection between babies and the claiming mothers. A UK High Court declared the births a falsehood, not a miracle, and Kenyan police exposed a trafficking syndicate stealing babies from Nairobi's Pumwani Maternity Hospital. Deya's wife received 3 years in prison for child stealing in 2014, and Deya fought extradition for over a decade before deportation in 2017. In a devastating twist, a Nairobi court acquitted him in July of 2023 for insufficient evidence. A child trafficking pastor was horrifying enough, but the final chapters exposed corruption so extreme that one pastor became an international fugitive, and the other was exposed for horrors the world is still processing. Number 5. Jamal Bryant. He took over New Birth after Eddie Long's death and immediately generated his own scandals. Bryant funneled hundreds of thousands from working-class followers into luxury living while fathering children outside his marriage and lecturing on moral purity, then sparked outrage by launching church-backed cannabis campaigns. Number 4. T.D. Jakes. His Potter's House empire cracked when a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs mentioned Jakes in connection with reputation management. Though his ministry denied involvement, the allegations triggered massive AI-generated misinformation, with NBC News documenting videos exceeding 1 million views featuring manipulated content. Separate misconduct accusations added pressure, and Jakes suffered a massive heart attack on stage during a sermon. He blamed 44,000 AI bots and filed legal motions to identify the responsible channels. Number 3. Reverend Henry Lyons. This story involves arson, stolen donations, and a wife who decided fire would bring the truth. Lyons served as president of the National Baptist Convention, USA, controlling a network of over 8 million believers, while figures like Hillary Clinton courted his favor. Behind that image, Lyons stole over $4 million through fabricated membership lists sold to corporations, and he pocketed emergency donations from the Anti-Defamation League meant to rebuild black churches, destroyed by arson in the South. He spent stolen money on luxury estates and a 7.5-carat diamond ring for his mistress. The empire exploded when his wife Deborah discovered a hidden deed to a $700,000 home purchased with another woman and set the property on fire, triggering a federal investigation. A jury convicted Lyons of grand theft and racketeering in February of 1999. After prison, he returned to preaching at a new church, where trustees forced him out in 2017 amid fresh theft accusations, with a board member saying they thought he had been rehabilitated, but he was the same old Henry Lyons. He died in October of 2025 at 83. The final 2 pastors operated at a level that makes every previous case look small. Number 2. Prophet Shepherd Bushiri. As a leader of the enlightened Christian gathering, he branded himself a billionaire prophet and ran investment schemes promising astronomical returns through gold and diamond enterprises. South Africa's Hawks arrested Bushiri and his wife in 2019 on fraud and money laundering charges, alleging over 102 million rand laundered through his church. Despite being deemed a flight risk, the couple received bail in October of 2020 and fled to Malawi within days. A Malawian court ordered extradition in March of 2025 to face fraud, money laundering, and rape charges, but the High Court reversed the ruling in October of 2025, blocking extradition entirely. While thousands of families remain financially destroyed, Bushiri continues streaming from Malawi, demanding more donations. Number 1. TB Joshua. Joshua built one of the world's largest televangelist empires, presenting himself as a prophet capable of healing incurable diseases and attracting millions through Emmanuel TV. After his death in June 2021, renewed scrutiny followed the BBC's 3-part documentary released in January 2024, based on a 2-year investigation featuring testimony from more than 30 former insiders across 5 countries. Former disciples described years of alleged psychological control, violence, forced isolation, and abuse within the ministry. Several women alleged they experienced sexual misconduct over extended periods, while others claimed they were pressured into having abortions. The investigation also revisited the 2014 guest house collapse that killed at least 116 people, raising fresh questions about accountability. The church rejected the allegations, stating they were not new and had never been substantiated, while disputing the documentary's claims. Despite the controversy, the ministry continues under the leadership of his widow. Supporters continue to defend Joshua's legacy, while critics argue the allegations represent one of the most disturbing scandals ever associated with a modern religious movement. Share your thoughts in the comments below, because every conversation about accountability brings us one step closer to making sure no congregation ever gets exploited again.